o'clock, I will call the meeting of the Waxahachie Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. Please let the record show we have 5 trustees in attendance, and this meeting has been duly called, and notice of this meeting has been duly posted for time and manner required by law. The first item on our agenda will be our invocation, which will be led by Mr. Fox, followed by our Pledge of Allegiance to the American and Texas flag.
Lord, we thank you so much for helping us to come together this evening to make decisions about WISD. We appreciate being a part of it. We appreciate everybody that is a part of it, from the students to the teachers to the administration. And we ask you, God, to help all of us have the right motive in mind, have our brains fixed for doing the best for WISD. And I know that's what you want. I know that you will help us all. In Jesus' name I pray.
Next item is our open forum. This is the portion of the board meeting where the board receives input from patrons. Each person who addresses the board will have 5 minutes to speak on his or her issue. Because of posting requirements of the Open Meetings Act, board members will not ask questions of the patron nor answer any questions posed by the patron. No action can be taken on any issue presented during the patron comment section of the board meeting. Patrons addressing the board will be notified when they are approaching the last 60 seconds of their allotted time to speak. When I call your name, please step to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please. Dominic Williams. Mr. Williams, Mr. Pitts, my left to your right will be the timekeeper.
Okay. Dominic Williams, 250 Broadhead Drive, Waxahachie, Texas. All right, good evening, board members. Again, my name is Dominic Williams. I am a combat veteran, a business owner, professor, and father of 2 Waxahachie students. At the last board meeting, I spoke mainly about Coach DT's character because that's what I know firsthand. I still know him to be a man of integrity, someone who has invested in students, represented his district with professionalism, even through all of the proceedings, and earned the respect of those around him. And in my opinion, his character has not changed. I spoke briefly last time on due process, but tonight I'd like to speak from a different perspective. As a current doctoral student, ironically, one of the courses that I'm taking is politics, policy, and ethics in education. We've recently been discussing the difference between policy, procedure, and regulation. One of the lessons I've taken from this course is that organizations don't build trust simply by having policies. They build trust by consistently following their procedures and operating within the regulations that govern them. And that leads me to ask, if policy establishes expectations and procedures are designed to ensure fairness, can we honestly say that those procedures have been followed in a way that inspires confidence in this particular process? See, leadership isn't tested when decisions are easy. It's tested when the leaders choose to follow the process, even when the outcome may be inconvenient. As someone observing this situation closely, that's where my concern lies. Public confidence isn't strengthened when the public confidence is strengthened when the processes are fair, consistent, transparent, and supported by the documented evidence. Conversely, when explanations evolve and questions remain about whether the procedures were consistently followed, it naturally causes people to question the integrity of the whole process. I would also ask that the board consider the human side of the matter. Isn't it enough that Coach DT's name and reputation has already endured months of uncertainty and public scrutiny, especially when there appears to be no substantiated evidence supporting his termination as the recruiting coordinator? From everything I've observed, Coach DT isn't asking for sympathy or special consideration. He simply wants to move forward and get back to doing what it is that he's always been passionate about. and that's serving the student athletes and helping them pursue those educational and collegiate opportunities. So I say again, as I said the first time I spoke, this isn't about just one individual. It's about maintaining the public's trust in the integrity of the whole district's governance. I respectfully ask that you deliberate, when you deliberate this evening, that you consider not only that outcome, but whether the process leading to said outcome reflects the standards of fairness, accountability, and the ethical leadership that this board expects of everybody throughout this whole district. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. Jasmine Mosley, will you step forward and state your name and address for the record, please? Mr. Pitts, to my left, your right will be the timekeeper.
Jasmine Mosley, 304 Springfield Lane, Waxahachie. Good evening. My name is Jasmine Mosley, the parent of a former football player of 2025, Elijah Thompson. I am honored to stand before you today to speak about a man who has been a lasting impact, not just on the field, but in the life of my son, Eli. Coach Darius Terrell. When we talk about great coaches, we often think about wins, stats, and championships. But Coach DT represents something far much greater than that. He represents consistency, character, and commitment to developing young men beyond the game of football. Over the years, Coach DT has played a major role in Eli's life, not just during the football season, but in every season. He has been a steady voice of encouragement during difficult moments on the field, reminding my son to stay focused, disciplined, and resilient. But even more importantly, he has been there during his life's hardest moments off the field. Coach DT didn't just see him as an athlete, he saw a young man. He showed up, and he continues to show up even now as Eli serves and plays football for the United States Navy Academy. That is something you cannot teach from a playbook. Coach DT has also held Eli accountable in ways that truly matter. He pushed him academically, encouraging him to be prepared on and off the field. He made it clear that being a great athlete means nothing if you are not striving to be a great student and a great person. But what stands out the most is how Coach DT has challenged Eli to be a great human, being a good son, a teammate, and a leader. He has instilled values that will last far beyond high school football, discipline, respect, integrity, and perseverance, which influenced his decision on taking the scholarship to the Navy. As a parent, there is nothing more meaningful than knowing your child is surrounded by people who genuinely care about their growth and their future. And Coach DT has been just that. We often say that it takes a village, and Coach DT has been an essential part of that in our lives, then and now. So today I want to say thank you, Coach DT, for investing in Eli. Thank you for believing in him, and thank you for being that kind of coach, that mentor who changes lives, not just for seasons. I hope that you see the same impact that he has made in my son so that he can make the same impact in others. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, the board's going to convene into closed session according to section 551.001 et sec of the Texas Government Code. It is now 5:08 p.m. 5:54, the board is going to reconvene into open session. Our next item on our agenda will be consideration with possible action regarding a Level 3 employee grievance appeal. We will now begin the Level 3 appeal of Darius Terrell. Today is Monday, July the 13th, and it is 5:54 p.m. An audio recording of this hearing will be made. Please avoid talking when others are speaking so the recording will accurately reflect the proceedings. For the record, I would like to note that the following board members are present: Ms. Kriegel, Mr. Pitts, Ms. Timmerman, Mr. Schofield, and Mr. Fox. So a quorum of the board is present to hear this appeal. Mr. Terrell, for the record, will you please state your name and identify any representative appearing on your behalf?
My name is Darius Terrell, representative of Attorney Calvin Johnson.
Ms. McCutcheon, will you please identify anyone who will be presenting on behalf of the administration?
Good evening, Becky McCutcheon, Superintendent. I'll be presenting on behalf of the administration.
Jacob Farias, Assistant Superintendent, Secondary Leadership.
Each member of this board must be impartial and arrive at a decision on this appeal based solely upon information presented this evening. Any board member not able to be impartial should say so now and ask to be excused. For the record, all trustees in attendance will, all trustees in attendance will participate. However, I need to call your name and you please state whether you can be fair or impartial. Mr. Kriegel?
Yes, I will be fair and impartial.
Mr. Pitts?
Yes, I can be fair and impartial.
Ms. Timmerman?
Yes, I can be fair and impartial.
Mr. Schofield?
Yes, I can be fair and impartial.
Mr. Fox?
Yes, I can be fair and impartial.
And I am Dusty Autry, and I can be fair and impartial. So, the board will hear first from Mr. Terrell. Following this presentation, the administration will be given an opportunity to make a presentation in response. I ask that both parties please limit your initial presentation to 10 minutes each. After the initial presentation, each side will have an opportunity for brief closing remarks not to exceed 2 minutes. As we have listened to the presentations, I'll ask the board members if there are any questions to clarify the issues. Once all questions have been answered, the board will excuse you all and deliberate and consult with the legal counsel. We will reconvene. We will stay in open session in order to consider taking action. Are there any questions regarding the conduct of this hearing? Mr. Terrell, you now may present your appeal. As a reminder, please keep your comments to 10 minutes or less. Mr. Pitts, my left, your right will be the official timekeeper. Whenever you're ready.
My name is Calvin Johnson. I represent Mr. Terrell. And the reason why we have filed this grievance, we believe that Mr. Terrell has not received formal process. There was really no formal investigation. There was one report individual who said that Mr. Terrell did something, but there were no additional witnesses that we were informed of. There was no law enforcement involved. There was. There was no law enforcement report generated. There was no CPS findings of any of these. And if we're going to be upfront about it, Mr. Terrell was accused of making some comments to children that were inappropriate. Honestly, all he was doing was making sure that he was talking to his son. He was supposed to be. His son had walked away from the area that he expected his son to be at, and like most parents, he was making sure his son did not do that because they need to know where his son is located at all times. At school district events, that's what we want people to do, especially in light of what we have seen happen in the past and here recently. You want to know where these kids are at.
doing these after-school events. And so Mr. Terrell was only talking to his own son for the most part, making sure his son was where he was supposed to be. But there were no additional reports or no additional investigations that Mr. Terrell could see that was done to see if he made any inappropriate comments. It was just really the report of one person saying that they saw him say something. Mr. Terrell has been a valued employee as a recruiter at Waxahachie ISD for the last 5 years. More importantly, when it comes to his performance, he has had excellent performance. He had actually been named one of the top recruiters in the state of Texas for this particular Waxahachie program. They have a great program out here in Waxahachie, and these students and these parents really rely on Mr. Terrell to make sure, number one, that their students continue to grow, that relationship that he has fostered with them continues to grow, and that they stay on track to be able to be recruited, that they take the proper classes, and that they end up in the best possible position when it comes to college recruitment. And he has done an excellent job for Waxahachie ISD for the last 5 years in doing so. You even heard people earlier come up and speak of that excellent job that he has done for them. In addition to that, in addition to him not having that due process done, he was even recommended for non-renewal, and he was not even actually properly notified. Mr. Terrell actually found out that he was being recommended for non-renewal and actually submitted for non-renewal without the proper 15-day waiting time. Now, of course, y'all did not non-renew Mr. Terrell, but the process of non-renewing him, you have to wait 15 days when you actually notify an individual that you're going to non-renew him. And they didn't even wait the 15 days. If I'm correct, it was like 7 or 10 days that they waited, and they were going to even attempt to non-renew Mr. Terrell, despite the fact that he didn't even receive any of this due process he was supposed to receive. And so when you serve 5 years in a position and you do a job where you did not receive any due process or the due process you feel like you should receive or that any employee should receive, in addition to that, while you're doing this job, you did not receive any negative reviews in your job. And one person comes along and says, hey, I saw this person do A, B, and C, and that's the gist of an employment action against you. We think that the employees of Waxahachie ISD deserve better than that. More importantly, with the kind of job that he has and the position that he has, helping these students in recruitment, we feel like, number one, that he deserves due process. Number two, more importantly, the students deserve better because you're taking the person who's in charge of recruitment at this particular ISD. And that is hurting the students when they're trying to go to the next level academically and athletically. And we at Waxahachie ISD would not want to treat our employees like that, number one. But more importantly, we don't want to establish policies where we're going to do the employees like that, number two. But number three, more importantly, we don't want to put our students and the parents of those students in a position to where these students will not benefit from having somebody who has done an excellent job like Mr. Terrell in that position. More importantly, we need to go to the other part of it, which is kind of outside of what typically people argue. Mr. Terrell has developed excellent relationships with a lot of these students. He's developed excellent relationships with the parents and the players. We need to understand that those relationships are valued. I tell people all the time, these coaches, when they deal with these students, sometimes those relationships last a lifetime. My high school basketball coach, to this day, we still go out to lunch. He's been very influential in my life. Mr. Terrell, I've seen people even today come and shake his hand and talk about how much he's helped these students and doing his job and making sure that they are properly mentored, that they're shown discipline, that they're doing what they're supposed to do, that they're where they're supposed to be. And even in the day in question, he's making sure that his own son, and we're going to talk about this, he's making sure that his own son is where his son is supposed to be. We all should want our parents to, if I tell Johnny to be at a particular place at a particular time, or if he's not going to be at that place at that particular time, to be at that place at that time that he needs to tell me. And if he doesn't tell me, then there are going to be consequences for that, and I need to make sure that he understands the next time that he needs to be there. And that's all that Mr. Terrell was doing. And that we don't feel like he should be punished for that. In addition to that, he shouldn't be punished for that just off the word of one person. And when you look at the fact that he had been working here faithfully for the last 5 years. This man has a family. He has his kids in school here. He's doing everything he can on a daily basis, doing everything he can for these students to make sure that they have the best opportunity in this world to succeed. And then we're going to go one more step. These coaches don't just work regular hours. They're working day and night. They're trying to make sure kids get home. They're doing other stuff. They're doing additional stuff to make sure that these students are okay. And Coach is a great example of what Waxahachie ISD can do. He's been a great example for these students. Just sitting here today, watching these parents walk up to him and thank him for what he has done for their kids, it's been amazing for me. It's made this argument for me coming up here even easier. But getting back to policy, he just has not gotten his due process. He has not been treated properly, and he should be reinstated as the recruiter for Waxahachie ISD, not just for his sake, but for the sake of this school district and for the sake of these students. And we feel like that he has not received that due process, and we feel like in the best interest of Waxahachie ISD, its employees, its students, and its families, that he be reinstated as a recruiter for the Waxahachie ISD. Thank you.
Thank you. The administration may now proceed with its presentation. Again, please keep your presentation to 10 minutes or less.
Good evening, Board. Councilor Badillo, thank you for allowing me to present tonight. I'd just like to start with a few facts. So on December 7, 2025, Waxahachie was playing Duncanville in a playoff football game. That game was being held at the Midlothian Stadium. As halftime was ending, I saw Mr. Terrell on the outside of the football field, I guess you could say on the outside as well of the stadium, on the wall of the field house, push a child against the wall with his hands, and he had his hands around the child's neck, and as another child stood very close and watching. At the time, I did not know who those children were. He was cursing, and he was in such a fit of rage that he was not responsive to my direction while I stood right next to him. Once that stopped, he continued his explicive rant towards game workers and others around him as he proceeded to walk back onto the field. So at that time, I went down to the field. Mr. Terrell was immediately dismissed from the game. I was then notified by our law enforcement, our school resource officers, that they had received a report that he was also heard, Mr. Terrell was heard while on the field, cursing rather loudly while he was on his cell phone. So the game ended that evening as required by laws that govern all Texas educators. I did submit that report to Child Protective Services. Following that, the district did place Mr. Terrell on administrative leave while we did conduct our investigation. Additionally, as required by law, that misconduct was, the district did have to make a misconduct report to the Texas Education Agency. At that time, Mr. Terrell was asked to resign from his position. He was also told that if he did not, he had the option not to resign, but that we would be moving forward with non-renewal of his contract. Again, this was back in December. Moving on, I am told that Child Protective Services did dismiss the case. I do not have any information on that, as that's not our jurisdiction. Okay. So those are the facts. Would just like to tell you a little bit about why we are here tonight. So employees in Waxahachie ISD are expected to exhibit professional behavior. Mr. Terrell was at a school event, that being a football game, and he was there as an employee and was therefore expected to maintain professionalism. Mr. Terrell's behavior at that time does meet the grounds for non-renewal of his contract under a couple of different pieces in his contract. Number 14, failure to meet the district standards of professional conduct. Number 19, any activity, school-connected or otherwise, that because of publicly given or acknowledged of it among students, faculty, or the community impairs or diminishes the employee's effectiveness in the district. Number 23, behavior that presents a danger of physical harm to a student or other individuals. And number 25, use of profanity while performing any duties of employment, whether on or off premises, in the presence of students, staff, or other members of the public, if reasonably characterized as unprofessional. So despite meeting the grounds for non-renewal, in April, the board did determine that Mr. Terrell's contract would be renewed. So Mr. Terrell was offered, and he has signed an employment contract. He is currently serving under a dual assignment term contract for 1 year, so his job is intact. In regards to his assignment, in his contract under Section 5.3, assignment/reassignment, it does state that the district has the right to assign or reassign, transfer, or make changes in the responsibility of duties of an employee at any time. So board, as you consider your course of action this evening, please take into account that actions do have consequences. Mr. Terrell's behavior toward his child at a district football game was unprofessional and abusive. Mr. Terrell will tell you that this was related to the fact that he thought his son was missing. And we understand that that can be a very scary situation. Normally, however, a person would not act in a physically or verbally abusive manner in the way Mr. Terrell did. His son should have been under the care of someone who was not working at that time. His actions diminished his ability to be effective in his position of an NCAA coordinator, and it diminished the district's trust in him as a professional. He used profanity in the presence of his child, another student, and game workers, as well as me. The district will not tolerate this behavior from any employee. The district lawfully exercised its right to reassign Mr. Terrell to Howard Junior High as a teacher and a coach, and that is commensurate with the title on his contract. The position of NCAA coordinator has been reassigned to another employee who is currently serving the students in that role. And board, you know, I have kept you abreast of this situation from the moment it happened. You've received updates on this situation at each board meeting throughout the semester. And so I do thank you for your guidance as we move through that process. All previous requests in the grievance process from Mr. Terrell have been granted except for one. So what has been granted is that he did receive his contract for the 26-27 school year. A copy of his personnel file was provided to him through our attorney. Administrative leave paperwork was shared as requested. And confirmation of any board action against Mr. Terrell were requested, which there was none. So the one item that has been denied is reinstated in his previous position, is to be reinstated in his previous position as NCAA coordinator. And so I would just like to just reiterate, under board policy DC local employment practices, the board delegates to the superintendent final authority for employment of contractual personnel below the campus principal. And specifically, as a board, you do not make assignment decisions. Those are up to the principal and or the department heads or department leadership. So tonight, based on that, board, I just ask that you support the district administration, that you uphold the level 2 decision to deny Mr. Terrell's request to be reinstated as the NCAA coordinator. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, you now have 2 minutes for closing remarks.
Well, the fact of the matter is, Mr. Terrell was never told specifically what he did. If you can look through those documents, they never told him specifically what he did. Nobody told him that he allegedly choked somebody or did all the stuff that they said he did. He didn't receive any notice of that. He didn't get the opportunity to clearly respond to that like he would have wanted to. That's really part of the problem that we have here. He wanted to be able to respond to those allegations like he needed to be able to respond to those allegations. That's the first thing we need to talk about. The second thing we need to talk about is, yeah, he got a contract for the next year, but part of the reason why, and honestly, is you kind of got to give him a contract for the next year, because when you do not give the employee a proper notice, if you don't give them the 15 days to appeal, the only remedy is you have to give them another contract for a full year. So if you try to non-renew somebody and you don't give them the 15 days to appeal, and you present that to the board, The only remedy is you got to give him a contract for another year. So the fact that he received another contract is they were going to probably have to do that anyway, to be honest with you. So that's something that I'm concerned about, that action was taken against him. He was never really told, hey, what was specifically said that I did? And if you're going to do something to me, tell me, hey, Johnny and Jimmy said that I did A, B, C, D, and E. At least give me the opportunity to say, hey, I did not do that, I did not do that, and so that I can respond to those things specifically. He didn't get the chance to do that. And when you look at this, did anybody go and take affidavits for that? Did people write statements when it came to that? That's what you typically should do when you're gonna take somebody's job away from them that has been working hard for the last 5 years and that's doing a great job for a school district, making sure these students get
10
recruited and they go where they need to go. So I think that we have to look at that due process angle and make sure that that is taken care of properly. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. McCutcheon, you now have 2 minutes for closing remarks.
Just like to reiterate that, as Mr. Terrell's counselor brought up, the contract, he does have a contract for the 26-27 school year. And additionally, during the investigation period, Mr. Terrell was given the opportunity to provide a statement on his behalf. And so he did provide that statement in conversation with Ms. Teresa Burkhalter through HR. So we do feel like due process was handled correctly and followed. Thank you.
Okay, having heard from both sides, are there any specific questions from board members? I have one from you, Mr. Johnson. So specifically, the one thing we're asking relief for is to him to be reinstated as the NCAA coordinator. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's the only thing that's left pending before this.
Yes, that's the only thing pending because that's the job he had before, and that's the job that really, that's the punishment that he received because of this situation. And currently, the job he has now, even when it comes to his children, he's not going to be able to pick his kids up to go to school the way that this new job is going to cause him to have to do. And I know that's not your concern, but when we look at this situation, this is the punishment that was meted out without any due process is what we feel.
Okay.
And I think it does a disadvantage, number one, to the district as a whole because of the rebuilding process. And number two, we think it more important, it hurts the district and it hurts the kids and the parents because it's not putting those children in the best position to succeed. And that's what we're all here for.
Okay. Okay, the board will now consult privately with our legal counsel. We will return to open session when we are finished, and any action will take place in open session. So at this time, the board is going to convene in a closed session according to section 551.001 et sec of the Texas Government Code. It is now 6:17 p.m. Now 6:36. The board's going to reconvene back into open session. Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion for action item A, which would be the consideration of possible action regarding level 3 employee grievance appeal.
I move to uphold the Level 2 decision and deny the requested relief.
Second.
So I have a motion by Mrs. Tillman, second by Mr. Pitts. Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries 6-0. Next item on our agenda was our report section, which is Report A, which will be our superintendent's report. Ms. McCutcheon?
Okay, good evening, Board. Really just have a couple of dates I would like to share with you that are upcoming and just opportunities for y'all to join us. Would you like me to wait? Can we keep going or just? Okay. Okay, so July 28th is all new to district teachers. And that would be an opportunity for y'all to stop by and say hello to all of our new to district staff, teachers. August 1st is our Operation First Day of School, and that will be a great opportunity for y'all to be there. I know Public Relations team is looking for anyone that wants to stay and volunteer and help, and so that would be a great time. August 6th is our convocation, and we welcome anyone to come in and have a little welcome back for our staff. And then August 10th is Bring Your Supplies Night for elementary school. And if y'all wanted to stop by any of the elementaries, I know they would appreciate that. And then, of course, our first day of school is August 12th. So it's been a busy summer, and we are moving quickly into the end of July and early August. So just wanted to share those dates with you. Does anyone have any questions? Sorry. Okay.
Okay. Moving on to Report B, our Bond 2023 construction update. Mr. Mott, how are you this evening?
Good evening, Board. Ms. McCutcheon. I'm here to give you the Bond 2023 update for July 2026. So we'll start at the Finley alternate. So you can see there the band hall and drama room are the ones we've, again, promised to have ready by August 1st. Ceiling grid is now going in those areas. All the wall tile is complete in those areas. First coat of paint is going on. Second coat will be after everything is complete above. All the ceiling tile and all that, so when anything that's scratched will catch all that and everything at that time. And that's how it's normally done. And then we're working on lights, doors, and back vestibule area right now. The flooring starts next week. And the new HVAC unit that'll be going on in that one, all the rest of them are there except for one. And that one will be placed next week as well. The choir room, as you can see just there on the picture on your left, you can see that's the choir room there to your left in that picture. It has been topped out, so the block is as high as it's going to be. We'll start adding the red iron in that next week. Here is a picture of the band hall. As you can see, the ceiling grid is in. They're starting to actually, in this picture, it wasn't wide enough, but they were actually starting to hang the lights in there as today. They were starting to hang lights there, and they were going on to the next one. The halls had about half the grid in it, and the drama room. Probably by the end of the day tomorrow, we'll probably have all the ceiling grid in back there in those areas, except maybe one ensemble room. We won't have it in. Any questions about Finley? So Waxahachie Creek. So we're in multiple phases all throughout that building, as you can see there. As you can see, I went through all the different areas. You can kind of see where we're going on as what we say that. So area A is the first one that will be complete as we're going through that area. You can see there's sheetrock and tape and bed in. First coat of paint's going on there. We're starting the sheetrock in B. We are still bricking outside in B. That's the area right there in that picture you see on the front, yellow, looking right at us. That is the area B there, and that is actually the administration area. Then you can kind of see area C. We're working on, we're starting to close it in and start to really get ready to sheetrock that area there as we're finishing up the end wall items there, finishing up some of the bricking on the outside there. You start getting back into the building, you can kind of see D as we're putting the roofing on, then we'll start doing interior, those kind of things as you can kind of see out through the building there. The big thing we'll really push right now is back there on the athletic field. You're gonna see some of this is we're starting to do a lot of the leveling out back there and getting that all ready to start doing the turfing process and all the different things it takes to do the turf in those areas back there. So here's a picture of this is the softball field. in the outfield, dead center field, looking at the softball area on your left, that area you see there, that is the actual batting cages and storage area for the home side, and the batting cages on the right. So they're starting to do all the brick there on the left batting cage there, which would be the home batting cage. That's the storage area. That's where they'll have brick enclosed in that area. So the baseball and softball fields are identical in those kind of setups. It's just a bigger field, for the baseball versus softball. But how they're being built and how they're designed like that, you can see the same. So here's the field house for that area out there. And you can see there on the left of that picture, there's the softball field right there, so you can kind of see it from another perspective. So you can see right now the field house is, at times they're working on it, but they pull off of it a lot and go to the main building because they're trying to get, when they get to a slow part and they need to move a crew while they're maybe moving scaffolding or something like that, they'll send them back to the field house and start working on there. That's a fill-in right now, just to kind of catch up when we can. Catch up, keep crews busy instead of not doing much that day. Anything about the high school right now? Again, we are in a 2-week shutdown there on the Old Italy Road for the city doing some work on a waistline there. So just if you try to go out there and see anything, you cannot go down Old Italy Road. You would have to come around off 77. We have a temporary entrance off of 77 out there. Proposition C, we're starting to see a lot of the different stages for different buildings being completed. And a lot of the big things are fixing to happen. We're looking this week to do our first hookup of some of the geothermal, or unhooking of some of the geothermal. At Clift, it will be all off. We're going to look at doing it Wednesday through Sunday. And then part of Howard will be the same way. We'll start cutting into those lines and getting some of the building back on the new condensers or chiller towers, those kind of things. And then Howard will be done in 2 stages. It'll be the one main part of the building, and then a couple of the subs will be done the next week. So the only time it really affects staff is the end of this week, Wednesday, Thursday. Outside of that, it won't affect them on that one, because we will have to shut down the air conditioning on the main part of the building and the MDF, IDF, so any of the technology will be shut down. So they won't have any way to physically work there because the internet will be down. Because if we don't, those have to be cooled rooms and they burn up. So we turn those off. Anything else? Any questions?
Mr. Mount, when do you anticipate that campuses will be completed for the school year?
For
these different projects?
We are anticipating for all Prop C projects to have everything completed by August 1. We may have a few roll over that, just like touch-ups here and there. There's something that may have like a little chip on it, something that we're waiting to come in, but everything should be ready for teachers to come back on the 3rd, 4th. They'll be ready for them to come in. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
How many air conditioning units went on the roof at Northside Elementary the other day?
Last week we put 53 units up there. Took off 53, but took off 53 curbs, put 53 curbs and 53 new units. Actually, we only put, I'll say that, we only put about 36 units up there because the curbs, when we took off the old ones, someone did through all the retros through it, did something that never should have been done, so we couldn't even put them back on. We have to make new curbs. The way they did some work on it, it made it impossible to replace, so we had to do some extra work. But yeah, that's how many we have on that building, is 53 full units.
Thanks, sir.
A bunch of them. Anything
I've got a
else?
question.
Yes, ma'am.
I went over to the old high school the other day to go to the closet, was gonna go in the front door, and it was all taped off.
Yes, ma'am.
And I walked up there to talk to the guys. I couldn't believe what I saw. What in the world?
So this is the problem when we tear into old buildings we discover here. There was no, in a typical area like that, you have a header beam that takes all the support, okay? There was no header beam. It was all supported by that window, wall of windows and doors.
How did it
Literally,
stay
you
up?
could shake those a little bit. Huh?
How did it stay up all those years?
It just has. Luck of the draw.
Yeah.
So yeah, when we took it out, we were in trouble. So we put over the weekend a 44-foot, 10-foot long steel 14-inch I-beam across there. Not expected. Didn't expect to do this we're doing. Literally the roof on the front entrance, it was just like bouncing because there was no support once we took that other out. And the windows we're putting in there, because they're so large and they're insulated, the panes of glass weigh 310 pounds per window. So we can't not have any support. So it was something we didn't expect, because it was all sheetrock. We couldn't even look in there without destroying it to get a quote. So we didn't even expect it, really. Never have seen that before. Now, we're also fixing to start doing Turner, and I'm worried. I'm worried for this as well, because it's, you know, it's an older building. I don't know. We won't know until we get in. That's some of the surprises of remodeling older buildings that we run into. Luckily enough, we were able to lip and turn and get some contractors in there to get something done real quick, and it's not gonna set us back really on that.
When the worker there was telling me what you just did, I just couldn't believe that it stayed up all those years. It was like,
Well, the old ones were steel window frames, so they held a lot more. But also the windows that were there were single pane, small glass. It wasn't a lot of weight there, but it did, like I said, when they went to start moving it, they were like, man, why is this moving? But we also had termite damage we discovered in there on that. I mean, there were some things, that, again, you tear into old buildings, this is what we find. And we get into remodeling that one down the road. When I send in to do updates of, you know, painting and tile and stuff in that building, I'll have a pretty decent pad in there because of the same thing we just found. I can't afford to not have it in there, and we find something.
yeah. Thanks.
Makes
Anything
sense.
else? Thank you.
Okay, report C will be informational report on Cook Children's Telehealth Partnership.
Okay, good evening, Board. Ms. McCutcheon, thank you for allowing me to present about the school-based virtual health opportunity we have with Cook Children's. So I'll be telling you a little bit of information about the program and what that can look like for Waxahachie ISD. So we'll start out with the value for the program. Of course, first and foremost, we're increasing access to care to our students, getting faster intervention for illness, and hopefully reducing exposure of illness to others. This is another additional resource for our school nurses, just an extra tool that they're able to use. Hopefully, by doing this, we will be able to reduce student absenteeism, which can allow us to keep that funding. And then another huge impact will be the medical director services and having a medical director come in and sign the standing orders that our school nurses will follow. Okay, so here we've got the team at Cook's. You'll notice it's a really small team. That's a really great thing. When a student does register and become a part of the program and they log in on the visit, they will meet with the nurse practitioner, Autumn Morris, every single time, which allows her to build a relationship with the student. The rest of the team, this would be the medical director and then other people that we might work with, the nurse coordinator and practice manager. Okay, so why Cook Children's? There are a lot of telehealth options out there, and some of the reasons that I think Cook Children's is the best option for Waxahachie ISD. Of course, we talked about the core team being small, they're very reachable. We're connecting with the same provider on every visit, allowing that relationship to be built. They have access to the electronic health record that Cook's has in place, so if a student already sees a physician that documents on that charting system, they'll have access to all of their medical history. They have relationships with some local providers that if a student does not have a PCP, they can help get them scheduled and get them locked into somebody. Great resource for us as just somebody we can reach out to whenever we're coming up with policies. For example, the measles outbreak that just came out a couple of years ago, Cook's was the first that saw that, and they could notify us of some of those things. They do allow the nurses to regularly communicate, even if it doesn't result in a visit. So perfectly okay for the nurse to reach out for advice on what to do in a situation, just an extra tool for them to have. They also have an additional virtual program. So of course we have this one that we would like to use during school hours, but when a student registers, they also, with the same registration, would get access to another program that they could use on summer or Christmas break. And then, of course, like I said earlier, we have standing order support. So we need to have a medical director that will sign those orders for us. Okay, we've listed out here some of the school districts that are already participating. So Cook's has had this program in place for about 15 years. This is not all inclusive, but you can see we've got large and small districts. Some participate more than others. It's a pretty broad reach. Okay, so how it works. Parents do have to opt in and give permission. So what we would do is provide them with a link to register, and all registration and insurance and billing is handled between the parents and the hospital. We wouldn't touch any of that. Once a student is registered and we distribute that list to the school nurses so that they know who qualifies, when that student comes into the clinic and meets certain criteria, that nurse would be able to get them logged into a HIPAA-compliant virtual conference through Autumn Morris, who is the nurse practitioner that we saw earlier, for a remote visit. They are able to contact the parents and have them join remotely if the parents would like to. And of course, the students do have to present with qualifying illnesses. So on this slide, we've got a few of the illnesses that qualify. You know, telehealth is a little bit limiting. It has to be something that can be seen remotely. However, the benefit for a program like this, and what makes it better than just a traditional telehealth app that you might get on your phone, is that they are allowing us to be CLIA certified, which means that our nurses are actually able to perform strep and flu swabs and result them in the clinic, which is great. Which gives them a little bit more broad scope of practice. But of course, you know, it's still remotely. We're just doing the assessment with the aid of a school nurse. Okay, what do they provide to us? Everything. They give us everything free of charge. We get the webcam, all the technology needed. The CLIA certificate, like I mentioned earlier, that's pretty huge. All of the lab tests, any equipment like the digital otoscope that the nurses will need to do the assessment and give information to the provider. And of course, any technology and technical support and training for the nurses they'll provide. Okay, so the next couple of slides are some important considerations and questions that you might have. So first and foremost, it's a community outreach program for cooks. So they have no minimum visits, no quota, there's no budget that they have to meet. We will never pay for anything with the program. It's all free of charge to us. It is only for pediatric patients because Cook Children's is for children. So this would apply to students only. Like I said earlier, all registration and billing will be coordinated through Cooks. We would not touch any of that. Anything is done with the link that we send the parents. And then another big question is the time commitment for this. The actual visit itself lasts on average 2 to 5 minutes. So really it's not extra work for the nurse. They're gonna do the same assessment that they will do on every single student. The only additional time would be getting them logged into the visit. Of course, a younger student, that nurse might need to stay with them and help them get connected, but an older student, you might be able to get them logged in and then go to your next student. A few more considerations. If the school nurse and cooks determine that the student needs to be excluded from school, they will share attendance notes directly with the school. They will call prescriptions in for whichever pharmacy the parents choose. Parents do need to register annually, which is a good thing. It helps us keep up with who is opting in each year. And then of course a huge one, because this is all done through their program and their providers, there is no liability for us or for our school nurses for the care that they're providing. We're responsible for our assessment that we're doing, and we can of course still exclude a student for meeting our criteria for illness, but any care provided is between the student and cooks. Okay, so this request will be found in the consent agenda to consider this for our school-based telemedicine program and medical director services. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't have a question, but I think this is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
And
ma'am.
anything that we can do to keep kids in school and not miss a bunch of days because they're waiting to go see a doctor and all that, they can know right away. It's free of charge. I mean, who wouldn't love it?
Oh, yes, I think so too. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And yes, I also think it's a great, I mean, it's gonna keep our kids in school and also provide them with the treatments they need. I do have one question. Is there gonna be any kind of financial assistance if the parents cannot afford the
yes, ma'am.
prescriptions?
Well, I don't know about prescriptions. That is a great question, though. They do accept Medicaid, and I believe it's completely free for Medicaid student. They accept insurance, and it would be whatever their insurance coverage is. For self-pay, they offer a discounted rate, and you know, I was asking about that whenever I met with the program leaders, and because we don't have to touch anything with billing, they will never turn a student away for that. If we log them in for the program, nobody's going to get turned away. As far as prescriptions go, I'm sure they could help us get connected to some inexpensive options to get students prescriptions that need it.
Well, it's a great program. Thank you so much for
Yes, ma'am.
driving this.
All right, thank you.
Our last report will be our informational update on clear bag policy for WISD.
Good evening, Board. Ms. McCutcheon, thanks for giving me a few minutes to introduce an initiative we're going to take on for the 26-27 school year. We are going to go into implementing a clear bag, no bag guideline for our events. Looking at this, we've looked around, we've listened, we've seen lines at graduation that were brought up at the last board meeting, and have been thinking since early spring of some things that we could do to maybe speed up the process, but at the same time keep us safe, keep our kids safe, and be able to monitor that. So to help in that, we're going to implement a clear bag guideline where each spectator can bring in one item, and it can be a 12 by 6 by 12 clear bag or a Ziploc bag, and it might be interesting that we state that on there, but looking at some other districts, they actually had it on there as well. So I guess if someone has to bring something in that can fit into a clear bag, they can stick it in there. That way we can observe that as they're entering into the event. The only non-clear item that we're allowing is one small clutch. It's 4.5 by 6.5 inches. It can't exceed that. And we do have some exceptions that we're looking into, and that's diaper bags, obviously, if there's accompanied by a child. If Jacob Perry doesn't have a diaper-age kid, and if I try to walk in with a diaper bag, there's kind of an issue. No comments on that. But medically necessary equipment that may be needed for patrons that are in there looking, spectators watching the game, and then camera bags as well. We know that just about every event we have folks that are hobbyists, photographers, parents that take photographs with nice cameras, and those will be subject for search. Any questions so far on this? And I've got one more visual for you. Our hope is that we can really monitor what's coming in and out. This is a mock-up of our clear bag guideline. It's 2 slides because it's more of a portrait shaped visual, but we can add to or take off of that, but basically it lines out our guidelines for that, what bags are accessible and what not. A question that I kind of wanted to answer is what venues are we looking at implementing this guideline at? And we're looking at all secondary athletic and extracurricular events, so that would include Lumpkin Stadium, all of our arenas or coliseums, gyms, the FAC, the PAC, the tracks, the baseball fields and softball fields. Tennis courts.
How many entrances are there going to be to Stuart Lumpkins Stadium?
To Lumpkins, we'll have the top 2, which are the main ones. The bottom one that will be a little bit of a challenge that I think you know which one I'm talking about. It's at ground level to where we enter in by the coach's office. We'll have to have security there. So one of the things this will involve is having to have more security spaced out at all the entrances. Of course, we have them at the 2 main entrances up top and then the visitors entrance.
Okay. And then also, this is great, and I consider it baby steps, but this really, we need to start looking at, in my opinion, the metal detectors. I mean, we need to start in the future because this is not going to keep a weapon from coming in.
I'm glad you said that, Ms. Kriegel. We are actually, Ms. Rottlehuber is our safety and security coordinator. She's getting quotes on a minimum of 3 new metal detectors with the AI embedded weapons detection system on it, which we've gone and observed those at, I think Mansfield's where it was.
Mansfield has it, yes, sir.
Really, really cool. They actually tested it out with me, and it's really, really neat. So we're looking at a minimum of 3 there. We're trying to determine where those would go, and where those are at, we would reallocate or relocate the current older ones, possibly, probably to Lumpkins. That way we'd have plenty there. One of the things is we don't want to get backed up, but we will if we have to for safety.
That is fantastic news. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Perry, on this slide right here, where it says exceptions, it says camera bags. If you go to your last slide,
Not permitted.
not permitted.
Thanks for catching that. I will, they will be permitted, but everything's up for search.
Okay.
But thank you, I can make that correction. Anybody else? All right, thank you, Board.
Thank you. Okay, our next item will be our informational items. You have the information in front of your items A, B, C, and D for you to review at your own leisure. That will move us into our consent agenda, which we have items A through S up for consideration.
I move that we approve items A through S on the consent agenda.
I have a motion by Mrs. Timmerman.
Second.
Second by Mr. Schofield. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries 6-0. And I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Kriegel, do I have a second? Second. Mr. Fox, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 6-0. Have a good evening.